Okay, so they come in a diesel, obviously. There's no reason why you shouldn't get 500,000 Ks out of one of these if you look after it. There's not a huge amount going for it. You're not going to be pulling any women. You're not going to be winning any awards. You're going to be going to and from work in a pretty reliable, robust vehicle that's able to do the work that you need it to do. What's happening YouTube? This is a BT50. This is also the same platform as the Ford Ranger up until about 2022, 23, when they swapped to the Isuzu D-Max. Just quietly, I reckon the D-Max is better, but that's not what we're talking about today. This is a BT50, but if you're considering buying one of these, or you're looking at a Ford Ranger of the same year model, this is applicable for the Ford Ranger. These are our top pick of vehicles for tradesmen who are using it on work sites. Mazda BT50 and the Ford Ranger. They are known for some transmission troubles in the automatic. We have seen quite a few of the autos give trouble. So if you're looking at buying a second-hand one, be sure to get the transmission checked before you commit to buying it. The only other thing that I've seen common is they're really common for splitting an intercooler hose. It's not a major catastrophe, but suddenly the thing loses power and sounds like you're strangling a squirrel. You've busted yourself an intercooler hose. As far as features, interior-wise, they're pretty good. It's got everything you could want with a modern vehicle. GPS, sat-nav, climate control, all of those things are an option here. Look, they're not great if you've got kidney problems. If you're going to drive a car that's going to bash the living daylights out of your kidneys, this is one that's really going to give your kidneys trouble. The suspension ride is not perfect, but it is a tradesman's vehicle, and that's why it's made that way. Okay, so pretty much it's a boring white ute. You're not buying these things if you're taking the family on a holiday. Some people are, but that's ludicrous. This is made with the tradesman in mind. So is the four-door, basically. They're good for towing, smaller weights, not huge ones. If you're hauling a caravan, go and look at the Ford Everest or an Isuzu D-Max. Basically, it's made for the tradies. These come in a rear-wheel drive or a four-wheel drive option. The rear-wheel drive is much lower to the ground, which makes it better for loading this sort of stuff into the tray. However, if you're prone to getting your work vehicle stuck on a clayey, bogged out work site, then maybe the four-wheel drive is the option for you. Traditionally, the four-wheel drive is also the dual cab. But yeah, it's a boring white tradesman's ute, but they're super reliable. Criticisms of these cars, all the keyboard warriors will tell you that the Ford Ranger was known for catching on fire. Been a mechanic now for 22 years. Obviously this wasn't around that whole time, but I've never once seen a Ford Ranger that's caught on fire. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I can't tell you why, but allegedly they catch on fire. I haven't seen it. They're also known for some bearing problems in the engine. Again, I've never seen one go. What is the main thing that I have seen a lot of is if you're servicing these things yourself, these are the cars that if you let the sump drain for too long, they lose oil pressure. So if you're doing your own servicing, don't let the sump drain for more than 5 minutes or you'll be pulling your hair out trying to get oil pressure back into it. That's it for negatives. As far as positives, it's pretty much an unbeatable ute. In my opinion, it's the new version of the Toyota Hilux for about half the price. Also of note, in 2022, when the whole world was making a whole heap of noise about electric vehicles and how reliable or hating on them, whatever's going on there, this, as a diesel ute pickup, was the biggest selling, highest selling vehicle on the Australian market. So that says something. 90,000 bricklayers can't possibly be wrong. All right, so this one that we're actually in is the peasant's equivalent. It's got pretty much no features. It's still reliable. It's one of those things that if you less is more. Your climate control is all mechanical. There's no digital. The higher up models up to the Trackhawk in the Ford. Trackhawk? That's a Jeep thing. What are they called? Wild Track in the Fords. Come with a lot more features. Obviously the digital display and things like that. Those things are great until they break. So pick what you want. Something basic like this, really good for an apprentice or a young guy starting out in the trade, just needs a reliable vehicle that's not going to cost much. These are the #1 car that we recommend for people doing that kind of work.